is easy to forget how much actually changed in 1 year of Rise of Kingdoms. So let's recap all 12 updates and 138 significant changes in 2025 that I could find from the update logs. Grab some food or something to drink, because this is going to take a while. Starting with the first update, 1.0.90 Return of the King. This update happened on the 7th January, and the first thing it brought us was the brand new commander Arthur Pendragon, which was also the first cavalry combo commander. You could say this was an introduction to combo. The first actual combo commander was Liu Che, who came way earlier, but this is the first time that combo damage was on an active skill. With Arthur, we also got a new civilization, which was also the only civilization we got in 2025, and that is the Mayan civilization. Good for gold gathering. With the normal damage, it's perfect for anti-swarm, and with the archer special unit. With the Mayan civilization, we also got 2 new commanders, which is 1 legendary and 1 epic. We got the farmer Wak Shanil, which is available from KVK 1 and onwards. It's always great to get another farmer, especially since we only have 13 farmers so far, so there's still 1 slot left that needs to be filled for being able to farm with 7 marches. And then the second commander we got was Siyaj, which was a legendary. He's available from KVK 1, and he also has a KVK 1 damage factor, and he's a ready commander. Now the next big thing we got in this update were the conversion stones. This feature got introduced that you can swap armaments from one formation to another. A very needed feature, and very thankful that they added this. And with this, they also of course brought the bundle where you can buy conversion stones for money. The next big thing they brought in this update was a legendary commander swap, where you could swap any 2 legendary commanders to 2 other legendary commanders. And also, if you're new to Season of Conquest, anybody got this event, and new accounts who just come to Season of Conquest also get this event. Well, they get it at the end of KVK 2, so that's not really true. And it also comes with a Gathering of Heroes event where you can recruit Season of Conquest commanders. They also changed the Lost Kingdom chat in this update, where they added threats and this hot threat section. And they adjusted the barbarian count for the first zone of KVK, so more barbs spawn, so chaining or just doing barbs in general is easier. Because these zones are always overcrowded, these first zones. The transport capacity in your trading post got also changed from 5 million at level 25 to 10 million. Another great change, makes it much easier to transfer resources. It's literally twice as fast. And another great change I use almost every week were countdown alliance markers. I love to make these alliance markers for countdown whenever there's a specific event or time for a pass opening. And the KVK return time after you finish your KVK, there used to be 3 days until you get forced return to the home map. Now it's only 2 days. So that time got reduced by 1 day. And that was it for the first update of the year of 2025. The second update, Moon and Star, version 1.0.91, on the 10th February, brought the Ramadan event series. And the first big change they made is that in Kingsland, before the ziggurat opens, 0 resource nodes spawn. There are no resource nodes in Kingsland until the ziggurat opens. And they did this so it's way easier to TP in and way more comfortable to fight. Another great thing they added in this update is that when you have these crystal chests from the season, where you spend your crystals inside of the KVK and you get these crystal chests, these don't get taken up if you don't get registered for KVK. So if you have these on farm accounts and your farm account doesn't get registered for the next KVK, your farm account won't use this automatically, only if it gets registered. I think they should change this, that these crystal chests should only get used once you enter the map. It's already good that they don't automatically get used when you can't even enter the map. They also changed the Bastion quest refresh. I know they changed it twice, but we're going to talk about the second change later. But the first change, they reduced this cooldown when you refresh quests from 10 minutes to 5 minutes. And we also got the 9th season of the Osiris League in this update. And it was this 2025 tournament. And talking about the Osiris League, we also got 4 new Osiris League skills, which is Inferno, Time Warp, Nomark, and Sun Sailor. And for your march lines, they reduced the thickness of these also in this update, because people were complaining about how thick they are. So when you have like 100 marches in a murder brawl and they all tap somewhere, you can barely see where they're going because all the march lines are in the way. In the Realm of Mystique, they added a new section where you can auto use your skill, and if somebody goes AFK, an AI will take over and play for them. And they also added this feature to simplify commander abilities. So now when you read commander abilities, you can do a simplified mode, and it basically tells you what it does without all the numbers, just a skill description. In the same page, for commanders you don't have recruited, there is a skill preview video you can see right here. So it previews the skill basically and just shows you what the skill does or what it looks like. They also adjusted iconic 5 tier equipment. So when you have equipment that's iconic tier 5, They changed some of them just to make them more consistent and more clearer to understand. And they also optimized the attack march logic. To be honest, I tried it at the time of the update. I remember I didn't really feel the new attack march logic. It was supposed to be that your march doesn't run inside of murder bolts, but stays like on the edge of them, but it didn't really work for me. They also added automatic titles for the Lost Kingdom. So when you want a title like this one, you can just click on it, you can apply for a time slot, and the king can customize this, the time you're applying for, and I think you can even disable it. It's a very nice change for those kingdoms who don't have bots, but to be honest, I don't think anybody really uses the system. I just find bots, and when you type in Kingdom Chat, it's much easier. And then in the same update, they also changed the stave forum. So inside the stave forum, you can now travel 10 times and 20 times. Before it was only one click per travel. And then here in the dispatches, you can also dispatch all. They also let you search for alliance members now. This wasn't a feature before the update. You can now type in anybody's name and then you can search them. Now I have to say this is cap sensitive. So if you don't do cap sensitive, it doesn't work, which is quite unlucky. I wish it would work without the caps, but it is what it is. And the auto join list. So when you leave an alliance, you probably know that you can auto join an alliance. Everybody is probably auto joined in the main alliance. It got expanded to 200 members in this update. I can't show you this because I don't have the right R4 title. And the last big thing they did in this update is that they added this profile development overview where you can compare your stats to governors in the Lost Kingdom or in your home kingdom when you are in your home kingdom. And it basically shows you the percentage of how good you are compared to other governors. So my commanders are 98.7% better than other governors, my buildings only 95%, my tech 99%, and so on. The next update, 1.0.92 Spring Glory, launched on the 11th of March. And the first thing they added is when you click on your city hall and you click this yellow icon right here, they added a new cosmetic shop, you can see right down here, and a new Klamic currency, which is basically like a currency for cosmetics and also resources, but that's for later. And you can buy city skins here with various effects. I don't think they have any special effects, just 5% troop attack. There's some name plaques here you can buy. There's some avatar frames you can buy. And there's some decorations for your city you can buy if you really want those. They also added a new event. Well, they didn't specifically add a new event, but they replaced an old one, which is this one, mid-season review. Before it was enemy elimination, where you got points killing enemies. Now you get points for taking dead troops, for healing troops, and for killing enemies. So it's more inclusive. So it counts your contribution better than just raw KP. The Wheel of Fortune event got changed. They added spin tickets to the Wheel of Fortune. Now you can go into this shop right here. You can purchase bundles for spin tickets. You can purchase spin tickets with gems and you can save these tickets for future events. So you can save up your tickets and you can do like 1000 spins in future event and max out commander full if you want to. In the Wheel of Fortune, they also replaced building speed ups with these healing speed ups, but that's only for Season of Conquest. Which is a very nice change if you ask me, because nobody really needs building speed ups anymore. You can now also transfer ownership from holy sites and passes. So when you are owner of a pass in a coalition, you can transfer ownership to another alliance inside of the coalition. This is very nice for when you have alliances leave coalitions, for example to set up a double rally on a pass, on like a pass 7 or a triple rally. They improved the custom Arc of Osiris experience when you create a custom match. Now alliance skills also take effect in custom match. You can increase the unit capacity and museum buffs take effect in the balanced game mode. And the biggest thing in this whole update, in my opinion, is that they changed the daily special offer from $5 to $3. This used to be $5, now it's $3. It's probably the best bundle value change they've done this year. I think it's also really the only bundle value change they've done. They've also added this feature in the Commander tab. You can now press this book and you see Commander strategies. So you can basically see which commanders you can pair Zhuge Liang with. If I click on Zhuge Liang, if I click on, for example, Arthur, it tells me who I can pair Arthur with. Then it can tell me gear options, it tells me armament options, and it tells me talent builds. Okay, what the hell is this talent build? Okay, don't use these talents build, they're absolute garbage. And this gear is also absolute garbage. Don't use this, but they did add this. In the Sunset Canyon and Lost Canyon, they also added the autosync mode. When you have autosync on, your gear inside of your defense is always the same as the gear on your commanders. So you can see, for example, on my Alpha right now, I have this gear because I set this gear up when I synced it, but then I clicked autosync off, and now on my Alpha I can have whatever I want. On my Alpha I have nothing currently. I have my Alpha gear on a Barbarian March, but if I had autosync on, then my Alpha would be empty in the defense tree. So you can keep your best defense lineup while also doing stuff like peacekeeping and killing barbs or doing forts. By the way, I'm Hallux, and I would really appreciate if you can subscribe to my channel and like the video if you enjoyed it so far. I also have a Discord community where I post about new events or updates in detail, like for example the new jeweler event, to get the best value to you guys out right away. And let me not hold you for too long, and let's continue with the next update. The next update is 1.0.93, the Easter invitation on the 10th of April. The first thing they changed in this update was the Lost Canyon blueprint shop. Before, here you could only buy the Eternal Knight, only the infantry stuff, and here you could only buy the sheer return. Now they changed these to be choice chests for all the different troop types for the non-set pants and non-set boots. Overall, a great change, because before this only benefited infantry players. Now archer and cav players can also benefit from this. They also changed the KVK Trial of Kaukarak. Before it used to be 5 levels here, now it's only 4 levels. A single level used to have 30 stages, now they only have 15. They also changed the egg event to make this pendant available in the egg event. It still doesn't tell you it's available from events, by the way, which they forgot to add. But if you go to something like Redis Glory, which is also available from the egg event, it tells you this item can be obtained from certain events. In the armament section, if you go to recycle page, you can sort by time received. So these here I believe are the newest armaments I received. And then down here should be the oldest I got. They also, in the Alliance tab, when you click on gifts, added this claim all button. We can claim 10 Alliance chests at once, and it's really quick. Before it was really hard when you get like 500 Alliance chests in a day to click through them all. I mean, you don't really want to complain about Alliance chest gifting, but if you do this every day for months upon end, it gets annoying quick. And that was also it for the update. It's probably the shortest update in the whole year. Then in the update 1.0.94, Frontiers of Knowledge, on the 13th May, they added the Lost Tier Kingdom system. So this thing right here, the Lost Kingdom tier, where you start with A, then you progress up to S, and finally S+. You can see right here what's necessary. You basically need to kill a certain amount of units and have a certain amount of governors participate. Then you get extra units return, and you also get extra gems. You can see right here, it's for reaching S, you get 20k gems, and for S+, you get 40k gems. The biggest thing they did in this update is change the crystal tech, which was a really nice change. Unfortunately, my KVK still is the old tech, and I believe this is actually the only KVK left in the game with the old tech. And the next one with this story, with the first Heroic Anthem story, will also have the new tech. The players in this KVK are basically the last players with the old tech, which is kind of sad, but also kind of cool. And in short, with the change of the new tech, the unit capacity buffs, Skillful Operation 1 and 2 are much earlier. Skillful Operation 2 can be maxed out on the first day. The Eco Tech can also be maxed out on the first day, and you get unit capacity way quicker, and you don't have to activate every single troop type to progress. You can only do one troop type and then progress. And they also added health and defense in the tech tree, and 2 new functions. One, to instantly retreat your march when it dies for the cost of gems, and one where you can spawn a rune next to your city of your choice. The past glory buff got also changed from 40% to 30% in this update. For me it's 40% because I play the KVK4 story, which is always slightly different. And they changed the Alliance mobilization event, where you can refresh all quests at once as an R4. They also made it so your quests, when they finish, they auto-submit. They moved Takeda, Cyrus, Sheok and Bertrand, these commanders, to KVK2. And they also changed Bertrand's kit from skill damage to combo damage. So now there's a combo damage commander in KVK2. And Sheok's kit got changed from skill damage to smite damage. So now there's also a smite damage commander in KVK2. They also added 2 new accessories for combo and smite, which is the Hero's Hilt, which boosts your combo attacks when you do a combo attack, and the Saddle of False Blessings, which gives you permanent smite damage and also heals you when you do smite damage. Now the hilt is a pretty good accessory and can be meta in combo marches, but the saddle is quite useless in the current meta and doesn't really find any value. They also had a new feature for our force to plan Crusader flags. When you go to this tab, for Crusader flags you can plan flags, and then basically whenever this flag finishes construction, this one automatically starts building. So you don't have to have an R4 manually place the flags. You can place 20 at once and then they auto-complete building. And then you build one after another. They also added a very nice system where when you transmit armaments, you get a guarantee system now. So when you have a stat locked, like defense, attack or march speed, all damage doesn't count for this. But if I roll now, then this will turn to a 9 if I don't get an archer stat. If I get an archer stat, it resets. And basically every 10 transmutations, I get a guaranteed archer stat if I didn't get one within those 10. And every 30 transmutations with one locked attribute, I get a guaranteed 2.5% stat for the one I locked. So if I lock archer defense, I get a guaranteed 2.5% archer attack. They also again reduced the thickness of march lines. So this is the second time they reduced the thickness of march lines this year. So these march lines are right here. Second time they reduced the thickness. And the last thing they did in this update is adjust the background color of some items. For example, speed ups at 24 hours got changed to the yellow color or the legendary color. And the gold keys were purple before, not the legendary, and these were blue, now they're purple. Just small things like this. Now the next update was Qin Ascendancy 1.0.95 on the 12th June. The first thing in this update was of course the release of the strongest commander in the game by far, so far, which is QSH. They also had a new feature where you can reject matchmakings, but this feature is only available if every single kingdom in the KVK rejects. So if basically everybody rejects, for example, and 1052 doesn't reject, just an example, then the KVK will still be played. But if everybody rejects the matchmaking, then the KVK will be cancelled and they will match again. Also for the first time in this update, they tested playing the pre-KVK when you spawn in the KVK map and you are on zone 5. Basically you have a bunch of marauders running around then in the marauder stage. And they also changed the fortress HP. Before with max tag was 155k, now it's 124k. So this is a reduction of 31k HP. They had a very controversial and new bundle for these transmutation crystals, which is called Armory Alchemy. Before they were only available from KVKs or special events like the Lutheran Scrolls. Now you can purchase them, so it's way easier for Krakens to get good armaments. They also adjusted the power calculation for your matchmaking. Above 150 million power, not 100% of your power becomes towards matchmaking. And if you are above 500 million power, then 0 additional power will be counted towards matchmaking. And they adjusted the Imperium threshold to 23.5 billion power. And that was also it for this update. In the next update, 1.0.96, Struggle for Supremacy, which launched on the 14th July, launched with the first Supreme Strife event, which is this one right here, the Supreme Strife. This is the second one, and that was when the first Pioneer version launched. They also launched the first Fountain of Dreams event, and the Fountain of Dreams is where you got this effect right here. It says from events, but it was the Fountain of Dreams, and it was basically the most unique cosmetic you got in this event. You could spend your Clemics, you could buy right here, and you can get cosmetics with them. And they also expanded the new tag, which was pioneered, to more stories. They also changed it so troops can't gain rage out of combat. And basically how it worked before is when I have a march out, like my QSH, and then I put something out like a Joan. And Joan gives rage on her 4th skill, and she procs her skill, targets for 4 seconds, 5 allied troops get 50 rage. So if I attack something with this Joan, and Joan procs her skill, this QSH, even though he's not in combat, still fills up his rage bar. Once I enter combat with him, he's gonna be full rage. And people use this for stuff like events or like pass swarms to basically swarm the pass instantly and instantly proc the skills. But this was patched out. This is not available anymore, you can't do this anymore. Added a new combat setting. Right here in the combat settings, if you go to display, you can change the march line thickness from thin, medium and thick. So this is what it was originally. This is what the march lines were after the first change, and this after the second change. And you can also disable march lines for various things if you plan to do that. They added 2 new commanders, Archimedes and Mary, which are both siege commanders for KVK2. These are these 2 commanders right here. And they changed how dismantling works for equipment with special talents, and it was actually a big one. So when you have an equipment with a special talent, a legendary one that is, and you want to dismantle it, you see I get 60 mats back. And a different helmet that is not special talented, I only get 30 mats back. And I get you get 100% of mats back if your legendary equipment has a special talent. If it doesn't, you only get 50% back. They also changed how the alliance tag works. So before, the alliance tag worked this way. When you march onto alliance tag, you get the march speed buff from the alliance tag, which is 22%. So if I march here and I click on the alliance territory for march, he will have the march speed buff all the way regardless of where he is. But they changed it, so your troops only get march speed if they are actually standing on territory, and not based on where they are marching. They also changed it, so in your kingdom settings, the Queen, General and Prime Minister can give out king skills. And they also added this new officer management stuff. First of all, they expanded the R4 spots from 8 to 12, before it was only 8 R4s. And they added this button, they added this panel right here where you can give different roles. They also added these new roles, different permissions. And that was it for this update. In the next update, 1.0.98 Island Mystery on the 12th of August. They had a new event called the Dark Fortress Raid. It was very messy at first. You could spawn basically 3 fortresses, and then each of those fortresses you could rally with up to 8 troops. So in total you could have 24 rallies going. They added rage skills in the Ceroli Crisis and in the Champions of Olympia, so both these game modes got siege support. And they changed the Ark of Osiris custom matches again, where you can now make KVK crystal tech buffs inside of the custom match. So you can play the custom match basically like you would play a normal KVK with the same buffs. They optimized also the Golden Kingdom event to basically make it faster to clear. They didn't make it easier or anything, they just made like clicking stuff faster. And they also changed the hammer event, where in the hammer event you can now purchase a bundle for hammers, and you can get the free hammers more consistent, and you also get 2 free hammers per day. The battle reports also changed in this update. Before it showed you the percentage right here of how good you traded, now it shows how many units you killed. I think it's a change hated by almost everybody. I don't think anybody likes this change, because to see how you traded you have to click on the report, then go to battle data and then do the math in your head that this is about 2 to 1, but this will be something like 180% or something. They added 2 new museum buffs in this update for Herald and Zenobia. Herald is right here and Zenobia I think I bought, so Zenobia is right here. These 2 museum buffs. They added a new daily special offer bundle right here. When you buy this bundle and there's a new commander releasing, in the first 7 days of this commander releasing, you can buy one for $10 instead of $3. So after you buy the $3, there's a second tier for $10 where you get more sculptures. And the last thing changed in this update, which I think is a great change, is that this passport page limit got changed from 5 to 75. So now instead of stocking 5 total here in the weekly limit, you can stock 75. The next update was 1.0.99, the Elysian Feast on the 9th September. Rise of Kingdoms turned 7 years old in this update, and we also got our rock yearbooks in this update. The Zenith of Power changed in this update, where before only the top 10 could get a skin, and now every 5 million power you push you get a Zenith coin, and for a certain amount of Zenith coins, which is either 8 or 12 depending on the skin, you can buy the skin at the end of the event. So now everybody can get a Zenith skin, not only the top 10, you just need to push either 40 million or 60 million power. And they launched a new beta feature, which you can see right here for the attack march. It's still in beta, so this is like 4 months later. And basically it's a new attack march feature where it's supposed to be improved. And to be honest, I've tried this, I don't really feel like it's improved. Attack marching on the field is still not great, it's only really good if you have a flag and you want to prevent reinforcements. In this update, they also added a new formation to the game, which is a double line formation. You can see right here, it's a double line formation, and it gives you 10% march speed when you walk towards barbs. The inscriptions on this are pretty underwhelming, to be honest. This one gives you more damage to barbs, but to be honest, why would you even get blue legendary ones for barb inscription? Then on the instrument, it heals you after killing a barb. I guess this is fine, but who really needs healing? You're not gonna chain with this anyways. On the flag spot, you get more XP from barbs, and on the emblem spot, you take less damage from barbs. A better thing they introduced is also peacekeeping, where you can set your marches, you can set if you want to use AP or not, you set the barb level, and at what point they return, and then you can go ahead and you can auto barb. Basically, you can automatically do barbarians. A very nice feature they added, and it's what I was talking about earlier, is this travel 10 times button. And it's also what I was talking about earlier, this quick dispatch button, where you can quickly dispatch your armaments. They also added 2 new commanders for gathering, which is Casimir and Pepin. So these are these 2 legendaries. Pepin is pretty good because he gives you resource extra bonus from when you finish a node if he's expertised. And Casimir is pretty nice for gold gathering, and he also gives you resource items. Basically this one is Cleopatra and this one is Sendor. Minamoto and Double C also got their active skill visual changed. These 2 active skill changed. I don't know why they did this, I guess just for funsies. And they also pioneer tested this new acclaim feature right here. So instead of kill points, this also tracks how many saves you took, how many saves you dealt, and how many deaths you took. They also reduced the crystals needed to upgrade this crystal research center to level 25. So all the way they reduced the crystals. And a very controversial change they did is at the end of the new tech tree, which I can't show you because I have old tech, but somewhere at the end, instead of damage reduction, well, it was damage reduction at first, and now they also added all damage towards it. So now you get damage reduction and all damage. And they reduced the gem cost for rapid retreat, where you could instantly retreat your march from 200 to 80 gems. They also added a voice chat feature for any group chats or like alliance chats where you can make a call and you can talk to people. And that was also the last thing they did in this update. Now for the next update, 1.1.0 Song of Troy, which launched on the 10th of October, they of course added the new KVK story, the Song of Troy, and also the 2 new commanders, Hector and Achilles. But before we talk about these, we have to talk about the second thing in this update, which is 16-hour War Frenzy. So in this update, they made a pioneer test for this specific story, where when you get War Frenzy, you can only get War Frenzy for 16 hours inside of 24 hours. And if you go over 16 hours, you get locked out of War Frenzy for 8 hours and you can't gain any War Frenzy for 8 hours. This basically means you can't fight for 8 hours and you can only do stuff like flag filling. And then of course the two new commanders, Hector and Achilles. Achilles is a cav commander and he does combo damage. So he was the second combo commander after Arthur. And then Hector also does combo damage if he's secondary to a cavalry commander, and he can also do smite damage if he's secondary to infantry, or skill damage if he's secondary to leadership or archers. They also added a new resource event, which is the Oasis Bazaar, which is not active right now. But in this event you can buy resources with the Clammies, you can also buy cosmetics with. Overall this event was pretty much a flop because they set the price way too high. And they also released the second Fountain of Dreams, where the most annoying cosmetic ever comes from, which is this battle broadcast. When you fight zoomed in, you see these all the times and they're really annoying. And they also had a new king skill, which is called the watch list. And what the watch list does, it basically prevents a governor from joining the Lost Kingdom map. So if someone is in your kingdom and you don't want him to go on the map and start zeroing people, for example, you can put him on the watch list. They also switched stage 2 and stage 3 in the pre-KVK. So now stage 2 is the Marauder fort phase and stage 3, the last stage, is the training phase. And they added the 2 new siege commanders. They added in the early update to the museum because the KVK2 commanders. Bertrand and CJ, which are also KVK2 commanders, still don't have a museum skill, by the way. That's a pretty big oversight from the game developers, which I'm also pretty mad about, because those are 2 great commanders and they could really benefit from museum buff. Especially CJ could be up there in the meta if he gets a good museum buff. And they reduced the Koraks for the normal Korak event from 50 to 30. They slightly increased the AP per Korak, but in total you still spend less AP and you get the same rewards. And there was also a last thing they changed in the Song of Troy update. In the next update, the second last update, 1.1.01 Homestead Revel on the 13th November, the first thing they did is that they pioneer tested this army group feature. What an army group is, you can add an army group with any march and then people can join your army group and you can basically walk around with 7 marches clamped up into one. And this allows you, if you basically go away from a keyboard to grab food or something, you can put your marches in the reserve troops or join an army group, and then somebody else can use your marches and fight for you. You still have to heal your own hospitals, but it's like semi-AFK fighting. They also adjusted the domain system. So what the domain system is when you have over 600 active governors in your KDK, you will have to do a second domain like this. You see 23772, this is their second domain, and this is their first domain. And each domain can now have up to 600 governors. And they also fully launched the acclaim feature. So in the update before we talked about this, it was pioneer tested. In this update, they fully launched it. And they changed the Lost Kingdom rewards. So these rewards here, they're now based off acclaim. You can see earn total acclaim. Before it was do a certain amount of kills. They also added this new button right here, these 3 things, and if you click on it, you have a queue management feature. You can see your building queues, your unit training queues. I think you can also see your research queues, but since I have my research maxed, I can't see it. I think this is my last building. If I max this as well, I won't be able to see the building queue. They added the unit training queue, the scout queue, the alliance donations, and unit healing. You can see how many you have in your hospital and if you're healing or not. They also added new alliance markers, which is this button right here. This is the normal alliance marker button. This is the new one. You basically draw lines. You can like draw your attack plan and everybody can see it. I don't really see this being used, to be honest, but it's a nice feature. Maybe just take some time for our force and leadership teams to adjust. And they adjusted the auto peacekeeping. Before, your troops didn't wait for each other, and if you didn't have them at the same march speed, it was really scuffed. But now if you send one out and this one hits the barb, it will wait for all the other troops to come and then they all start attacking at once, which is a good change to your auto peacekeeping to make it way more consistent and way less painstaking. They also said in the update that when you are in combat and you fight, your marches spread less around the target. I mean, I can try and show you this change right here, but to be honest, I haven't really felt this change in the field like at all. I haven't felt my marches being less spready, like not even a single bit. But I don't know, you tell me guys if you felt your marches spread less, but I feel like they spread exactly the same way, even though in the update it says that they should spread less. They also changed the Alliance Mobilization event again. They added a new bundle to it, where you can now buy attempts with the bundle, and you can also get more attempts in general for free and with gems. And they added a quest selection, where you can get a select quest like upgrade power or spend gems, and they're always available. A big thing they did in this update is that it changed the civilizations and how they work. So before, if you pick a civilization like France, you get this special unit and this buff right here. But now I can have the special unit of Korea because I run 2 archer marches, but I have the buff of France, where my hospital healing speed is increased by 20%. So if you're a field player, what you do, You pick whatever special unit is best for the most amount of units you run. So if I run, for example, 3 infantry, I would pick an infantry unit type, and I think the best one here is Grease, if I remember correctly. Then you pick the France buff, which is Chivalry, so that the healing for your units is cheaper and costs less speed ups, and that's what you run as a field player. And then for garrisons and relics, it's a bit more complicated, because it also depends on if you're getting swarmed or not, if you are like a specific anti-swarm garrison. But it's a really good change. And then you can also change the cosmetic. For example, I could have the Japan look while having France buffs, if you are into cosmetics and how your city looks, if you care about that sort of stuff. They also added new cosmetics for the SVIP shop, so basically just a new teleport and a new banner, some stuff for the Krakens. And they made skipping commander stories way easier. So when you play commander story for the first time, I sadly don't have one, but you can just skip, you can press the skip button right away. Before you had to click through all the dialogue and you couldn't skip. And the last update of this year, 1.1.02, the Winter Embrace, which launched on the 18th December, they pushed the new tech to all new KVKs, and my KVK actually started after the update, and I should have gotten this new tech, but for some reason we didn't get new tech. They pioneer tested a new feature where pass openings are on the 13 UTC in the KVK, fixed at this time. In the regular KVK, it depends on the first chapter. On this one, on the forts, whenever you build forts after 4 hours, 5 hours, you add 12 hours to that, and that time UTC is when your pass open. So if you build, for example, 20 forts after 4 hours, your pass opens at 6 UTC. Now the Pioneer tested a new feature where it's fixed at 13 UTC, no matter when the fort's complete. They added 2 new great city themes to the KVK shop, which is this one right here, Hava Mahal and Hedwig. Hedwig for siege attack, to be honest, not a great. I lied, is only one great city theme, which is this one right here. Hava Mahal, 8% all unit defense. The best option before for all troop stats was a Persian Dream for 3% defense, or the Twilight Falls for skill damage, but not all troops use skill damage. So this is a very great addition, especially since Zenith skins get higher and higher in troop stats. But they also added 2 new bad skins, which are 2 Kraken skins that only people who spend a lot of money can get. So this one for 500k, if you spend 500k US dollars, you get the skin. And these stats actually stack upon your normal city skin. So if you have this skin for 16% attack, then you also get this skin from spending 500,000 US dollars. You have 26% total group attack just from city skins. And you also cast an aura, you can see it right here, to the other city skins. And every city skin in this aura gets half of these stats. So if I stand in an aura of this with my city skin, I could get 21% troop attack from city skins. And the second skin they added is this one, when you spend 300,000 US dollars, and it basically allows you to heal 10 times per day your field units to max capacity. This was quite broken for events like the arms training. We could heal during arms training, but I believe they fixed it now, so it should be alright. They also fully launched a new army group feature they pioneered in the early update, so this is fully available for every single KVK now, for everybody. And they changed the daily objective, Instant of Conquest. When you get 100 points here, instead of getting a gold key, you get a sovereign key now, which is a great change. And they optimized bashing quests again, so for the second time the year. They made it so instead of 5 refresh limit, you have a 20 refresh limit, and you can't get Kahars from refreshing anymore. You can only get Kahars when you finish a quest, but you can still get a lot of Kahars this way, because the drop rate of Kahar quests after finishing a quest, like for example defeating barbarians, is quite high. And I have 47 Kahars saved up. You can get like around 6 Kahars per day on average using this method, and I think this is actually more than before, because I didn't get 6 Kahars before they changed this per day. They also added a new feature, which is the fort search. You can now search for barbarian forts. This was a very requested feature, and people waited for this for literal years. So it's great they finally added it. And they also added a new Marauder search feature. You can only see it in the when you're in pre-KVK, when the Marauder stage is. Like you can do auto barbs, you can do auto marauders and search for marauders, and you can also search for marauder forts when the stage arrives. And the absolute last thing they updated this year is that they announced the second Supreme Strife. And the main difference from the first Supreme Strife is that in the first one, you had a 4v4 in the map, and it was basically a free-for-all. You had to make your own alliances, and now it's a 1v1. So now it's much less reliant on alliances, and you just fight 1v1, whoever is strongest will win. So that's it for all of the updates in 2025. Let me know what was your favorite update they did, what's your favorite thing they changed, and what is one change you absolutely hate. Thank you guys for watching, I really appreciate it. I know it's a very long video, and I appreciate you for sticking around to the end. If you got value from the video, please like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Goodbye.